guys, it's Corbin Stuckey of PixelTalk here. I'm joined by my friend Marcos. And tonight, we are just now doing this. We've been actually busy with school, and I am in the process of moving into a house. We saw this movie about a week ago, but we just haven't had time to review it yet. But I promised Marcos that we'd do this video and review the movie. Honestly, I think it's a really good movie to review. War for the Planet of the Apes.
That's right.
That's what's up. So, Marcos, how do you feel about like this kind of prequel trilogy to the Planet of the Apes franchise? This is a pretty good prequel trilogy.
I have to say, this trilogy was really, I have to say, awesome.
Yeah, the motion capture and everything. Andy Serkis is like Caesar. I feel as though.
Who would have thought that Andy Serkis would go from being Gollum to being a badass Caesar?
Yeah, this was just really good. I remember seeing Rise back in 2011, and I really liked that movie. I really did with James Franco. I thought James Franco did an awesome performance. I liked how they were explaining exactly how the apes came to be. I also liked how they just acknowledged so many different tropes from the original trilogy, how they ride horses, and when you saw certain things in that movie, them riding horses and then Caesar speaking for the first time, where he's like, no! That, I remember getting goosebumps, and everyone in the theater was like, oh shit. And obviously Dawn came out 3 years later.
Yeah.
I started noticing that these movies were getting better and better. The second one is usually really good. Dawn was great. I really liked how it started. It started kind of hinting that there was a war happening.
Yeah. It was showing that it was the beginning.
Yeah.
Of this apocalypse.
Yeah, and then I guess it kind of showed the human side a little bit. There were humans that hated the apes, but then there were humans that kind of oh, this is actually maybe we can try to talk to them. I can't remember the actor's name. He was in Zero Dark 30. He was in
I forgot his name.
Terminator Genesis. He's been in a whole lot of stuff, and I can't remember his name. I'll probably just put it down below. Wow. And then there's war, and usually with these movies, the third part in these movies, it usually there's always a war kind of theme in third movies. We have the Dark Knight Rises. We have the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We have the Hobbit trilogy. And each movie, it seems every time when there is a third movie, there is a war kind of aspect. And that usually... God, your air conditioning. God! Can I turn it off real quick?
Yeah, go.
Okay, cool, sweet.
5-second break, folks.
I'm so sorry, we're gonna be hot for the rest of this video. But no, as I was saying, there's always these tropes that these third movies usually do. And I think it's just usually because other third movies do it, and that's why they do it. But I feel as though this movie kind of did it a little bit perfectly. There was enough backstory of Caesar to go on, and there was just a lot happening in this movie to kind of justify why certain characters were doing what they were doing and everything. And I honestly did like this movie a lot. I think this is kind of
I have to say it was the best one out of all of them.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah, it's the best one. I think it's the best one.
Yeah, it was showing that these apes, they just wanted peace. They just wanted, peace with the humans. But all the humans they just wanted to get rid of the apes. Yeah,
because of this whole virus going on and everything. Yeah. I think that's something I really appreciate about the prequel trilogy as well, is, the original, movies. I actually have not really seen the original movies. I've seen the Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, same.
But that was such a long time ago, and I don't really remember a whole lot. It's one of those kind of forgettable movies. I don't think it's really well received. Marky Mark. But what I really appreciate about these prequels is, it shows the human side of these apes. You actually, as an audience, kind of feel for the apes a little bit more than the humans. It focuses on the apes, which is really different. That's really hard to do when you have already set this foundation where these apes are the enemies in this franchise. But when you're able to turn the motivation around and just feel for the apes, that's really hard to do. And they were able to do that so well. And I think it's just because of the progression of these like 3 movies.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And the motion capture is amazing, wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yes. It was just spectacular.
Photo realistic. Sean told us that it was like going to be like really good motion capture. I think like I think that they have been getting better, the motion capture. I don't know if it's just been the same throughout, but I do feel like it got progressively better, especially better than like other films. Like I remember I remember right after we saw this, for some reason there was a video clip of that Tarzan movie that came out last year, and it was like a video clip of Tarzan fighting like an ape.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking to myself, wow, this is so weird looking at this after watching like Planet of the Apes, because this is shit. So I think Andy Serkis, like in the company that he works for, I think they're really good at motion capture for sure. It's just this is great. This is just a really good third movie.
Yeah.
I really did.
And a great way to end this trilogy.
It really did feel like this was the end. And let's actually get into spoilers.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've already covered like this movie's great. If you guys have not seen this movie, like definitely go see it. I think it's probably one of the best films of the year. It's not just like a really good like blockbuster film. I think there was a lot of depth into this film, like a lot of good filmmaking. So we're obviously going to get into spoilers. So if you have not seen War for the Planet of the Apes, definitely go check that out. There's just so much that me and Marcos want to talk about because there is a lot to spoil in this movie. There's a lot actually. So let's get into the first portion of the movie. Caesar just loses his family.
Yeah, that was just heartbreaking.
Like, yeah, it definitely was. Like when he was like, Woody Harrelson was like, "We just killed King Kong. We are en route back to base. We just killed King Kong." Like I thought he was talking like for a second. I thought he was talking about like an ape that like maybe looked like King Kong from like Peter Jackson's films.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was like. Is he talking about like an ape that physically looks like King Kong? And then I was like, oh wait a second. He thinks that he killed Caesar. Oh, he just killed his son.
Yeah, he just killed his son Cornelius and his wife.
Oh God, it was really heartbreaking. And I think that is what made this movie, because of the motivation behind Caesar and why he's doing what he's doing.
Yep, that gave Caesar the reason why to make peace with the humans.
Yeah,
But except Woody Harrelson, he wants to kill Woody Harrelson for what he did to his family.
Yeah, that was just that scene like where he just like looks at Woody Harrelson, he looks back and he sees like the dead bodies, and I was like, I remember like looking at you like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like it was great. I think that this set the motivation perfectly well. And there was a little the side story where like the humans were they were losing the ability to speak.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't really seen the original trilogy. Is that a thing in the original trilogy?
I'm not sure. I didn't watch the original trilogy.
Yeah, like I know how, like humans become like lower class than apes. Like the apes take over, but I didn't know that like some of them didn't speak, or I'm not entirely sure if that is a thing. Comment down below. I'm just more familiar with the prequel trilogy because I feel like that's just our generation's like Planet of the Apes. So I thought that was really interesting. I thought that was really cool. And it's just like it showcased that there was a lot more going on besides the apes. There was this virus that was going on, killing off the humans, making the humans primitive. So I thought that was really interesting. What else to talk about? Okay. I was thinking about this like after we saw the movie like 2 days later. Would you really say that there was a war going on? Like there was a war going on, but would you say that there was like actual like visual storytelling of a war in this movie?
Yeah, it probably was like a war like between Caesar and Woody Harrelson's character.
Yeah,
but not like a physical war between the apes and the humans.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, there was like little small parts when the apes were defending themselves against Woody Harrelson's men. because his men were like invading the apes' defenses.
Yeah, that was like the only part where I was like, okay, like after that, like there's not really anything else like war worthy. I thought there was gonna be legit. Like I honestly I think Dawn had a lot more war scenes than this movie.
Yeah.
Like I kind of felt like Dawn should have been war. Honestly, if we're actually talking about like the actual interpretation of a war, I would call this movie like concentration camp of the Planet of the
Yeah.
Apes. Because that's what this movie is. It's a full on concentration camp.
Yeah,
movie.
but remember, in Dawn, it wasn't Caesar's war. It was the other apes' war, which I forgot that other ape's name.
Yeah, I forgot. Like
I think it was like Kubo.
yeah, something like
Kubo, Cabo.
that. Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
there was an internal war in this movie, but there wasn't an actual physical war, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like I said, like that's what I felt like these third movies did. Like they did like these tropes where they feel like they have to do a war. Where I felt as though Dark Knight Rises, there didn't really have to be a war at the end of that movie. They could have just easily been Batman versus Bane.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of third movies do that for some reason. But this movie, I felt like what they were doing here. I thought it was really good. The concentration camp. I honestly felt like with this movie, it reminded me a lot of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And Woody Harrelson was kind of like Negan in this.
Yeah.
Except he was less funny. He was actually like, he is a dick in this movie.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson does like a great job actually, like in this movie as well. Honestly, like watching this movie, I kind of got reminded of Toy Story 3.
Yes.
Did you get that vibe?
A little bit.
Yeah, I kind of like, because there's that comparison that like Toy Story 3 is a lot like The Walking Dead. Like,
Yeah.
the toys are trying to retreat to like this sanctuary, and then there's like Fozzo the bear, and like they're
It's a Lotso.
Lotso the bear. Lotso the bear, he's essentially like the governor, and like
Yeah.
he's like taking control of the society. So there's always been that comparison with like Toy Story and like The Walking Dead, and I kind of got this same vibe from this movie, and I thought it worked really well. I think it worked really really well. I also thought that the other monkey in the movie, I can't remember his name, but there was a monkey who could also talk.
Bad Ape.
Yeah, Bad Ape. There you go.
Yeah,
Bad Ape. I think that's why I didn't remember it, because like that's such a weird name. I thought he brought a lot of comedic value to the movie.
Yeah.
Like this movie, like was
Even though at first in the beginning we thought he was like a big klutz.
yeah, definitely. But like when it started getting like really depressing, like he was there like to bring like some comedic value to it. I was like, okay, that's actually like really good. You're not forcing it down our throat. I'm actually kind of enjoying this a little bit. So there is that. And yeah, then the ending kinda, there was like a little bit of a war. I mean, it was just kind of them escaping.
Yeah, but it was like humans against other humans.
Yeah, I thought that kind of complicated things a little bit, but then like it kind of just pushed that out of the way. Like it was over with, but
Yeah, but then also after those newcomer humans that came in and killed off Woody Harrelson's men, they were about to start a war with the apes after they saw them. But then that big avalanche came in.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
they didn't even get a chance to fight each other.
Like I was saying, like there's tension and there's obviously like sides in this movie, but there's not an actual like fight. It's just literally the apes being captured and they escape, and that's pretty much it. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. I think what really made the movie worthwhile was the motivation behind Caesar. I think it was like the idea that there's just like a lot of emotion going on. He's just lost his family. He's trying to find this guy and everything, and I think
also he's trying to find a new home for his colony of apes.
Yeah,
but he ends up leaving them just so he could find Woody Harrelson and his men, which was a big mistake because the apes, they don't have their leader, so they end up getting captured by Woody Harrelson's men. and are forced into this slavery, in which also I had read this up. Apparently, those apes they're called donkey by by Woody Harrelson's men as like a reference to Donkey Kong.
Really?
Yeah, that was from what I read up.
I was wondering about that. I was wondering why they were called donkey. I don't know if that was like a slave reference or anything like that, but like that makes total sense now because I was in utter like, why are they being called donkey? Like, why don't they call them like something else? I don't know, but that totally makes sense now. Thank you for bringing like that too. That's great. What else? What was there to talk about? But yeah, what you were saying, like, that was another kind of like lesson thing that you mentioned, like where he abandons like his people essentially to go off forth with revenge. I thought that was a really good kind of like subplot as well. It's like, you know, he's focused way too much on seeking revenge and he's not focused on his people, and they end up getting like kidnapped into slavery. And it's like that's like a really good like that's good story structure.
Yeah.
That's good like, what have I done? I gotta stop focusing on myself. I gotta like help my apes. I gotta help my fellow apes.
Yep.
And then obviously this was a really sad part of the movie. When Caesar died.
Yeah. Seeing that ending with Caesar dying, it almost got to me.
It really did.
Yeah.
Yeah. When that happened, I immediately just thought of Rise, and I thought of Dawn, and I thought of everything that happened in this movie. I like a montage went through my head.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow, like we've like have been watching these movies for 6 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that long. It's been 6 years.
Yeah, Rise came out in 2011. Dawn came out, I think, in 2014.
Yeah, it was 2011, 2014, and this. So there's always been like a 3-year gap with these movies, but they've been really well done.
Yeah, just like seeing Caesar being born in that headquarters where James Franco worked at in Rise. Seeing James Franco raise him as a baby, and to see him now in War of the Planet of the Apes as the leader of this colony.
Yeah.
Yeah, and making all these sacrifices for his people.
Yeah, it was definitely like, there's been a lot of progression for this character for a while, and I think they concluded it very well.
Yeah, which, to be honest, while I was watching it, I kind of had a gut feeling that Caesar was gonna die, but I didn't want it to happen.
Yeah, I didn't want it to happen either. I wanted him to like, you know, be at least content with living with like his like ape family. But then I kind of realized, like, you know, he's kind of lost so much. He's lost James Franco. He's lost his family now, and it seemed okay.
He did still have his baby son.
Yeah, he still had his baby son. Yeah, that was, you know, I think that's what made it like kind of really sad as well. It's like he was leaving his son behind. So there's that. But yeah, no, I think like honestly, like Fox has been like doing really well with their movies like this year. Like, Logan was really good.
Logan. I almost like nearly like cried in the ending.
They've been like, Logan was good.
Cause Logan, like I grew up watching Wolverine. All the X-Men movies, and just to see him end that way. It was like, man, there goes my childhood. Yeah, and
say what you will about Alien Covenant, I think that was pretty good. I know I did like a whole in-depth analysis of that video. Kind of like saying what I didn't like about it, but in the long run, I did like it. I will be getting it on Blu-ray probably, and I will be seeing the sequel. There was just like a lot of problems with that movie, and I said those problems because I really liked the movie, and I stated those problems to see where they could bring the franchise in the future. But I just think that Fox, like, they've been kind of killing it this year. They've been making really, really emotionally invested movies, and this is one of them, War for the Planet of the Apes. Do you want to see a sequel? But maybe not like a sequel to this trilogy, but like a sequel to the Apes as well. I think it would be kind of hard because we've already established that these apes are like, we have feelings for the apes, and if we get a sequel, it's probably gonna be the apes versus the humans. Do you think that would be like something we should see, or do you think this should be like a movie that? Do you think this should be the last one?
Yeah, I think this should be the last one, cause just to see them like try to reboot it, it
Yeah.
would be a disappointment.
I think honestly, like I'm usually that kind of guy that's very optimistic for a sequel, and I like to see more from a franchise. But this is kind of the first time where I've watched a movie and I'm like, okay, they need to like stop it here because this is like really good. Yeah, I think they should not make another Planet of the Apes movie because it was so good this time.
Yeah.
They're probably going to, but in the long run, this was great. Yeah, that's pretty much it, really.
Yeah, but at least for Caesar, the one ape that was there for him to support him was the orangutan.
Yeah,
Maurice.
Maurice was great. I love Maurice.
Yeah, Maurice, because Maurice was like telling him like don't like Caesar, don't do this because you know going after Woody Harrelson and all that, you're just becoming just like Kubo.
Yeah, it was like you were like you're going too far. Like you need to like stop like what you're doing right now. I kind of like Maurice to take care of his son.
Yeah,
I think that'd be like really good.
Yeah, and also you had that one little girl that
Yeah.
had the virus.
Yeah, that's a one kind of issue that I have with this movie. Like, where does she like? Where are they just gonna take care of her? Like,
where does she fit in?
Yeah, like I don't know. But I guess it's kind of like maybe that's something that they could do with the sequels. I don't know. Just to see kind of like this little girl living with the apes. That might be a thing. I don't know. But like I said, I would like this movie just to end, like this franchise just to end here. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That was all of our thoughts on War for the Planet of the Apes. Comment down below what you thought of this movie if you've seen it yet. Like the video, share it, and please subscribe to PixelTalk if you haven't yet for more movie reviews, gaming content, and so on. Thank you guys so much. Marcos, thank you for being on this video.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. We'll probably like do more reviews like when we see movies and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. I'm Corbin Stuckey.
And I'm Marcos.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's right. You say your name. You say your name, damn it. And this is Pixel Talk. Yeah, that works too.